Hey, what's going on, fellas? This video's for Mike, John, and Cook. Today we're going to be looking at a steam cleaner device that's going to be used in a restaurant to clean up some greasy mess. I don't have any greasy barbecue ovens to show you, but I do have a greasy oven hood filter that we're going to clean with a handheld steam pressure washer that puts out about the same output as a $5,000 commercial steam machine. Let's check this thing out. All right, fellas, what we got here is a dirty old jack with a sticker on it and an oven hood filter, which is extremely nasty and greasy. The only greasy thing I have are these two objects. And we're going to be looking at some decal removal as well for Cook. Okay, guys, during ignition, we're always going to keep this thing horizontal the way we have it here. See how the flames come out the top? That could burn you if you have that pointing downwards. One of the obscure things about this burner that I want to point out in this section of the video is how it has two levels of operation. A new user may think that this is on high. It sounds like quite the ferocious torch. It sounds like every other torch. But I want you to listen at what happens here when I turn it all the way up. It's coming up. Or wait, here in a couple of seconds, you're going to see me turn this thing up to the next level. And it sounds like a rocket engine. Here we go. Hear how that just turned into a rocket? Went from jet engine to rocket engine? That's the level of operation we're looking for when we go to use this thing, guys. So don't forget there's a whole other level. Okay, I want to point out right away, this is not how you would want to clean one of these things off. I'm simply doing this for the purpose of exhibiting the performance. You would want to have this thing flipped over so you're spraying the dirt out of the filter. I'm actually spraying the funk and dirt directly into the filter doing this, but the machine's powerful enough to cope with it nonetheless. You can see all the sludge and the fat spraying out of the back there. It's all over the plywood. So I have not had any time to mess with settings yet. This is the first test and the first nozzle that we've tried. So there are always going to be the most optimum settings for any particular job. And I have not had time to configure that yet. So let's not beat the process up too much here. It could go a little faster if we had a fan nozzle. I have not hooked that up yet. I'm just kind of seeing what this thing can do. Okay, I flipped the filter over the right way you would want to have done it here. This is all the stuff that got sprayed through the back. Just kind of giving it a respray. As you can see, this filter is going to look like brand new. You typically have to just throw this thing away. Most cleaners are so powerful they would dissolve that aluminum. And I assure you this is some pretty nasty, sticky, greasy mess right here. And as you can see, it is just powering that stuff right away. And we haven't even started messing with settings yet, guys. There's a lot more to this thing as far as what it can do. Look at all that nasty, just filth. Disgusting. So, the output of this thing is incredible. It's, when it's hooked up to warm water, it makes all the difference in the world. I'm just loving this thing. Definitely be good for cleaning stuff up in restaurants. And for the price, you can't beat it. We're doing what a $5,000 machine would do here. I've looked at some of the prices. Even the $8,000 machines are about this much output. And I've been letting these go for $800. This is the 250 PSI version. And it's a pretty cool little unit. We're going to strip the stickers off this jack too. I'm doing this for Cook so we can kind of get a look at whether or not we want to use pressure or just really hot steam. Now I got to say right away, I don't have this thing set at the optimum setting for removing stickers. I should have turned the temperature of this steam way up for this right here, but I'm just going with it. The hotter the steam, the more effective it is at removing stickers. And I'm certainly not using dry steam right here. You would want dry steam for that. This is a saturated spray, but nonetheless it does the job. I just don't think that's fast enough to make much money is all. And it would probably do better had I took the time to set the settings. John Mixer, it's your turn, good buddy. This is a big blob of nasty something. I have no idea what this is, but it looks close enough to gum to me. It's the only simulate I have. It's certainly something that someone would pay you to remove from their parking lot. It's probably nastier than gum with my luck. It looks like polymer from a test I did a while back for some guys in Jersey. That's what it's looking like, which is probably worse than chewing gum. You see this thing's actually taking the paint off of the deck there. It will strip paint on an economic level if you turn the steam temperature up. I'm trying to keep the steam saturated a little bit here, but adjusting the levels definitely changes the way this thing operates. It can do better than this if you take the time to dial in what's the optimum setting and nozzle for the job. This is taking a little bit longer than it could. We could make this fast is what I'm saying. If we took the time to find the proper temperature and the best nozzle for the job. A lot of that you're seeing is the wood exposed. We have actually cleaned the area. It's just the paint's gone. So it definitely ripped that blob up pretty good. Okay, I do not recommend you use this on siding ever, but I'm going to do it anyway, just for the heck of it, because I notice how nasty that looks right there, and why not? It does do good with really wet steam, but you can melt siding if you're not careful, so never do this, but it cleaned it right up. Alright fellas, so here's our little before and after. Not the best camera work in the world, but you get the idea. Definitely a usable device. Here's a closer look at what we got. This thing is definitely an awesome little tool. This is the pump. This is a pump that's been extracted from a pressure washer and outfitted with a special bypass valve configuration that I developed in my waste oil burners to reduce the flow rate of a pump, enabling you to control the flow to any rate that you want. Well, it turns out this application is very valuable in many instances, because buying a pump that has the specific flow rate adapted to your project is next to impossible. It's just something that has to be engineered. So by doing this little setup here, we have effectively engineered this pump into something that's usable at whatever flow rate we want. We can control the pressure from 0 to 1600 psi's, and I believe it's up to a gallon per minute. But we would never run it at that high of a flow rate. That is the main hurdle. How do you get a pump that can have 100% duty cycle, run at high pressures but very low flow? And we're talking a liter to under a liter a minute. So that's all I got for you fellas. Mike, I hope this works out for you. Well, one thing we do have to do is when you're in that confined area running this thing, not only will you need absolute ventilation, but steam, when it's entrained in a flame, can extinguish a flame. So we would want to have a small fan running on the area you're cleaning so you don't have backwash steam flowing into your torch. Because I have noticed when I'm out killing weeds sometimes with this thing, the steam can put the flame out. So you got to be careful to keep that steam out of that flame, man. Alright fellas, so what's the brass tacks here? We used 0.8 gallons in the time span we run that device, which calculates out to about a gallon of propane an hour, which is about $2.75 an hour. One tank would give you about 4 hours of continuous run. And as you can see, that filter is looking brand new. So I'm into